government and how it will affect the everyday Nigerian. But first thing first, you need to go and also download the Global TV app to join in the conversation, which is on your various Android and various iOS devices to keep track of our broadcasts. And should you want to do that right away, you at this point will have to download the app to keep track of our conversation. And also you can also follow the conversation through on our various social media handle currently displayed on your screen to keep track of the conversation and also to drop your opinions and what you think about these various conversations right now that we are about to delve into. Well, since we're still celebrating the workers, just in case you're just joining us, this is Big Talk here on Global Television, and my name is Godwin Sunday. You can join the conversation on our social media handle now showing on your screen using at Global TV NG. And you can download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app to keep track of our broadcasts and by going straight to your Android or iOS devices to also join the conversation. Well, it's still the month of May, and we are still talking about workers and some of the impacts of government policies and on how workers should be treated and how they should fare. We'll try to bring a perspective on this issue on subsequently on the show, even today. But then we'll begin the first conversation by looking at the proposed and All Progressive Congress APC anthem as it stands right now, and try to look at what the anthem is all about and how we can also benefit as Nigerians from that anthem, if at all there is anything beneficial about the anthem. I will go for a short break at this point, and when we return, we'll begin the conversation by first looking at the All Progressive Congress campaign anthem. Then we'll now go into all the conversation. Please stay with us as the show continues in a moment.
Know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world.
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to global television.
right, welcome back. And just in case you just joined us, this is still Big Talk here on Global Television. And my first guest is Honorable Joseph Justin Zugwai, who is the candidate of Federal House of Representative Kashia Kagako constituency in Kaduna State, and they'll be joining us to talk about the proposed APC anthem, campaign anthem, as it stands right now, where the All Progressive Congress is proposing to have a campaign anthem. What does that stand for? And what does that even represent, even in the political space, knowing fully well that Nigerian political space has been identified with various manifesto, various programs and policies, as it were. So the conversation around having campaign anthem sounds very strange, but Honorable Joseph Justin Zugwai is talking to us even from Kaduna, who is a member of the House of Representatives, and is talking to us from this perspective this evening. All right, so let me welcome you first to the Big Talk, Honorable Joseph, this evening. You're welcome to Big Talk. All right, so Honorable Joseph, let's get you first. Talk to us about this campaign chorus and campaign anthem for 2027. Knowing fully that 2027 is still a distance, but what is this all about?
Little mistake. I'm not the member. I am a candidate that contested under the New Nigerian People's Party in the 2023 national elections. Then I decamped to the APC as soon as His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, renewed the hope of the Southern Kaduna people. Basically, all we're after is all people from the Southern Kaduna. So I'm only speaking from the Southern Kaduna perspective. What has been happening in Southern Kaduna is not one that I would have to start going over and over. Everyone is aware of what we have faced in Southern Kaduna and what have been over the years. And His Excellency has chosen to be a father to the Southern Kaduna people. Most recently, we got our Federal University of Applied Sciences in Kachia, where I'm from. And we also got a Federal Medical Center in Kafanchan. So I think basically this anthem is basically to show that the Southern Kaduna youths were fully behind His Excellency, the GCFR President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, and also behind His Excellency, the People's Governor of Kaduna State, Governor Senator Ubasani.
Well, all right, thank you for that clarification, Honorable Joseph. But let's look at this. 2027 tend to be very far away, and proposed anthem for the campaign tend to be also a distance away. But one would say that it is a preparation for what is to come. But trying to x-ray this even within the political lens, will you say, won't you say at this point, or can we say at this point that this will also serve as a distraction to the government, even as it begins to plan for the growth and development of the country? Well, can we put this in perspective? Won't this serve as a distraction for the government?
This wouldn't serve as a distraction to the government because politics itself is a way of life. Except for those who are non-politicians, that's when they think we only come out as politicians when it's time for elections to make ourselves known or to speak about politics. But if you go down north, I'm a northerner, so if you go down north, you know that politics is a day-to-day activity. There is no day we don't move politically. There's no day we don't try to sustain the mandate. There's no day we don't try to make the people see reasons why they should support this current administration regardless of what is going on.
Okay, so when you say that there's no day that you don't go out to support the policy, you don't go out to support the government, does this also imply that the anthem is in cognizance with what the party stands for and also represents, or does it only represent the good people of Kaduna, or it extends to the party in general, knowing fully well that the All Progressive Congress have not come out to approve or disprove the anthem for the party?
Yes, basically, we're all in the movement. Right now, we're trying to see His Excellency, the former president of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, who is out of the country at this point. Definitely, like I've said before, the party itself has not approved the anthem yet, and that's why we're also on this interview. But politics, like you know, is local. And if you're talking about politics, definitely you have to start from the grassroots. I cannot be a politician and not represent my people. I cannot be a politician and just stand on the S space. It doesn't work like that. So where I come from is where my ground is. Whatever I win, I cannot go out to win. I have to give my polling unit. I have to deliver my polling unit. I have to deliver my local government. I have to deliver my zone. And by the special grace of God, we have to join forces all together to deliver Kaduna State. That will be of maximum importance to His Excellency to winning the 2027 election.
Okay, so
both in the state and national election.
So invariably you're saying that this particular anthem is an anthem for the Northern APC, if I get you correctly.
Yes, and also the Christian community. Well, because I know that probably there are other issues going on currently in the country, but at least from Southern Kaduna, we've gotten renewed hope. Sincerely, at least I know how it feels from our elders, our parents. We know how it is in the past government. We know what they've passed through. We know what we, the youth, have gone through. We know what we've seen. But right now, like peace coming back to Southern Kaduna, it's more than enough reason for us to support this administration at this point in time.
Well, Honorable Joseph, quite a lot of people across the country right now will want to say that the All Progressive Congress, especially within the southern part of Nigeria, has not been able to perform optimally to expectations. This anthem, wouldn't this also serve as a form of putting more eyes into the cake in terms of telling Nigerians that, or of course at this point in time, we have not done enough? Or would this anthem further resonate with the suffering of Nigerians, or rather, would the anthem be resonating with the achievements of the president? Or generally, when you look at it and begin to assess this anthem, do you think to a very large extent that Nigerians will welcome it and not just the All Progressive Congress?
Like I said, the people of Southern Kaduna, to begin with, definitely have welcomed this development, of which this is where I come from and this is where I start from. In politics, like I have said, I am young. I think I joined politics officially at the age of 27. Right now, I'm 30 years of age. And basically, I'll tell you that in politics itself, it's not just about looking. Yes, there's the bigger picture, but where we all get it wrong most times is we neglect the downtrodden. We neglect what the masses actually want. You can't just stay in the city and think you're making a decision for the people. I contested, like I said, under the new Nigerian People's Party, and I defected to the APC as soon as the hope of the Southern Kaduna people was renewed. So basically, it's all about the people. It's all about the downtrodden. It's all about the masses at the grassroots, at the polling unit. I am from Gumel ward of Kacha local government. I know what my people want. I know what my people stand for. The university that was given by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, is in my own local government, my own constituency, where I ran for the 2023 national elections. So basically, what happens is, if you from any part of Nigeria have actually seen the pains of the Southern Kaduna people, and you also at the same time want to support us and you really wished us well from the beginning, then I think this is the time for you to know that, okay, the Southern Kaduna people have seen the lights, and we're grateful to His Excellency, the father of Southern Kaduna, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR.
So in other words, this APC campaign anthem does not resonate with Nigerians, if I get you correctly.
So do you mean the Southern Kaduna people are not
No,
Nigerians,
I'm not
sir?
talking about the Southern Kaduna people right now, because the lyrics of the anthem, looking at the lyrics of the anthem, and also the
Did you listen to
composition.
the introduction?
Yeah, I did. I listened to you. I've been following the conversation so far. But
I
then I'm
think
trying to,
basically,
because
if you
this is not
listen to the
about
introduction,
this is not about the All Progressive Congress right now from the North or Southern Kaduna, or this anthem as proposed by you is not going to serve the interest of only people from Southern Kaduna. It's going to also resonate and sit with people from other geopolitical zones across the country. But you've spoken largely about the Southern Kaduna as it stands right now. But let's look at it also by what you've said in the long run and in the conversation so far. This simply implies that the entire anthem for the All Progressive Congress would not reflect the sufferings and pains or otherwise of people from the southeast geopolitical zone, the south-south geopolitical zone, the southwest geopolitical zone, the north-central geopolitical zone, the northeast geopolitical zone, and the northwest geopolitical zone, because you've spoken highly of this. But looking at it from a very broader view, don't you think that, of course, at this point in time, that the anthem will further escalate the dissatisfaction of people within other geopolitical zone if Kaduna is being placed as the interest and focal point for this whole anthem as proposed by you?
Okay, this anthem, like you said, if you have listened to it and you're trying to also target, definitely is generating from the source, and the source is from the Southern Kaduna. Like I said, I wouldn't try to like go out of it. Definitely, you have to understand at the end of the day that politics itself, it's about delivering. I am a politician. I have contested at the federal level. It's all about delivering your polling units, delivering your local government, delivering your state to His Excellency, and also to the
It
All
has
Progressive
nothing to do
Congress.
with people from the south. It's just specifically for the people
Now let me give
from.
you let me give you a little highlight
Please go ahead.
of what I mean. I served 2019. I served in Asaba, Delta State. And while I was in Asaba Delta State, I think that was when the massacre and the kidnapping of Southern Kaduna was much. And I know how the people of Delta State, especially from Asaba where I serve, how whenever I come to the office at the Ministry of Water Resources, there's always this feeling, they are always sorry for me, meaning my people are out there suffering. So they feel for us, right? And now this is the South-South. Basically, now I am now back home. I served 2019, 2020 during the coronavirus. Right now, I am back home and I'm letting the world know. I'm letting all those people that have felt sorry for the Southern Kaduna people that right now His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is supporting us. He is now a father to Southern Kaduna. I think that should mean something to those people also from the South. I have friends from all over Nigeria, and that means a whole lot to them.
Well, at this point in time, we want to say thank you so much, Honorable Joseph Justin Zugwai, for being a part of Big Talk this evening.
Thank you so very much.
Well, we'll go for a short break at this point in time, and when we come back, we'll be talking with Jide Ojo, who is a public and political analyst, and we'll be talking about the state of the nation as it stands. Please stay with us as Big Talk continues in a moment.
I think this last point because you're not actually answering the question of
know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Welcome back. Well, there have been a lot of conversation around the proletariat and the bourgeois in a capitalist economy. And what we mean by proletariat and the bourgeois is the haves and the have-not in a typical capitalist society. Well, the conversation most times has been around the have-not, which is put up in the proletariat in that side of the divide, and these are the have-nots. And most times in the labor structure or in an economic structure would tend to tag or taxonomize the have-nots as being on the workforce and the productive unit of any country. And the way it is right now in Nigeria, it is also the have-nots from the large percentage of the productive units. That's why when Tunde Wale Edun, the Minister of Finance, was talking the other day, he said that just only 5% of Nigerians have 500,000 naira in their savings account. But then this forms the working class people within Nigeria. Well, we will be talking about this because why? This is the Labor Month. May 1st every year is being accredited and also given to labor across the world to be May Day and also by extension Workers' Day. And if you like to use all the acronyms to also qualify an adjective to qualify that word, you will say that the 1st of May, it is a day of productivity. Now, narrowly down to Nigerian, there have been a lot of promises and counter-promises from governments in, out, across the country. At first, from democratic era through to the military formations and the military regimes, we've had to enjoy some form of policies or reforms in order to better the lot of Nigerians and help workers to be more productive, motivated, and stay productive. But how effective has this been going by the whole of what workers are going through and the various inflation trajectory that is greeting the country, and also looking at it from try to juxtapose the position of workers and try to x-ray it from a very special perspective. Well, this evening we'll be talking to Jide Ojo, who is a political analyst, and we'll be talking about all of this conversation. But first, let me welcome you to the show. Jide, you're welcome.
It's my pleasure. Good evening, Godwin.
All right, so let's begin with the conversation around workers' remuneration as it stands right now. Workers will say that their take-home can no longer take them home in the country. But in your own lens as an analyst, what will you say about the general state of Nigerian workers as it stands right now?
Thank you. Incidentally, that's the issue I'm waiting on in my column in the Punch newspaper of today. We all know the plight of average worker. They're having the short end of the stick. Many of them, as you said in your background there, their take-home pay cannot take them home. But if it's just about low wages, maybe we will not complain too much. But you now have, on top of that, workers being owed months and years of salary and other emoluments. We now have situation where casualization is now the order of the day. I read a report where it is said that for many financial institutions, about 75% of the workforce in financial institutions are casual staffs. If you go to banks, many of those tellers that attend to you when you want to deposit or withdraw money are actually casual staffs. Or like in time past when people struggle to go and study banking and finance in the university and polytechnics because they want to work in banks. In contemporary times, you just had one of the banks declaring close to 1 trillion naira in profit. But you now look at what is the experience of people working in financial institutions, whether you talk of banks and insurance companies. Many of them are casual staffs. They are not full-time employees. And what that does is that they are not entitled to pension and gratuity. They do not have meals, allowance, no transport, no health benefit of any sort. They don't also have retirement benefit, as I said earlier on. And so this is now the norm. Even in oil and gas company, even in telecommunications, even in electricity distribution companies, where the bulk of staff you see are actually casual staff who can be dismissed at every, without even setting up any committees, no query. Because that's what casualization is all about. You are like a daily paid worker, and you cannot, you don't have any enforceable rights. You cannot even unionize. And that is part of the sad pity of what many workers are going through. In my column today, I was trying to analyze, okay, 70,000 minimum wage, which you will say, or government will say is 100%, over 100% on the previous minimum wage of 30,000. But when you look at the purchasing power parity, what can you do with 70,000 today compared to what same amount could buy you 3 years ago before the removal of subsidy? You now discover that this 70,000 pales into insignificance. I know even with my poor remuneration, how much I have to spend to maintain my family and even my own daily spendings. It's huge. No matter what, except that you are not going to have a life. If you say you are going to starve to death, maybe that is it. So you have workers facing myriads of challenges, from being owed months of salaries, from issues around casualization, issue about no minimum wage. Even it comes to issue about work environment. What does the work environment of Nigerian staff look like? Take a walk to the federal secretariat or the state secretariat of any state. Go and look at the deplorable situation of those secretariats, where about 6 to 8 staff are sharing one room as office. Some staff don't even have a chair, they don't have a table, and they just roam about. When they want to work, they have to go and borrow a table and chair to do their work. They don't have lights, and light is epileptic. Even where government has provided power generator, there is no interest to buy fuel to power those generators, or they are already unserviceable and out of use. Many of the high-rise buildings, you find out that the elevators are no longer working, and thereby making it difficult for accessibility for persons with disabilities who may be on crutches or on wheelchair. How does somebody who is on wheelchair access the third floor, fifth floor, or even the first floor of an office when there is no elevator working. So you can paint different pictures of what average Nigeria workers go through. And it doesn't end there, Godwin. Look at the senior citizens, the retirees, those who have served for 35, 40 years, who have retired. What is their pension and gratuity like? Many of them waited for years before they get their pension and gratuity. And even when you see what pensions they receive, it's very, very insignificant. So, Patrick, I learned that some professors on retirement will earn as low as 60,000, 70,000 naira as a pension. Now, tell me, a professor who has spent all his years, imparting knowledge, researching and contributing to national development, will now retire at the age of 70, and then all he has to his name is about 60,000 naira or 70,000 naira. What is he going to do with that? Particularly if he still has children in school and has to pay school fees. I once recently watched retired Commodore Labode George, one of the PDP chieftains, on one of the sister TV stations, and he said his take-home pay as a retiree or a general in the Nigerian military is 250,000 naira. Just imagine if he wants to fly from Lagos to Abuja to and fro, would 250 naira be enough? And that, do you expect somebody who is an octogenarian to be going by road transportation? So you can see that while you can complain a lot about those who are currently in service, those who are retired are having worse deal. Their pension and gratuity are not paid as and when due, and when they are paid, it's so insignificant, which is why there is a lot of corruption within the system. People are doctoring their age in order to stay longer in service, because they cannot just face that post-service trauma of having to be receiving a fraction of what their salary is. If somebody retires from 250,000 naira and the pension is just about 70,000, so just imagine that drop in remuneration. How will he cope? Even if he has trained all his children, unless those children are now in a position to assist in taking care of him in old age. And don't forget, in the current situation we have found Nigeria, there are many who have trained their children, but the children have not been able to tie down a gainful employment. And so the parents still have to feed them in their 30s, still have to clothe them, still have to provide them shelter, even when they have graduated from the university. That is the sorry state of Nigerian workers, and it is so disheartening, very heart-rending situation that Nigerian workers face.
Well, all right, Jide, let's look at the old conversation around workers' condition of living in the country. To a very large extent, we've seen that Nigerian workers are not complaining, and they're not protesting, they're not agitating. The only time you get to see Nigerian workers try to air their displeasure with all of the government policies, the irregularities within the system, tend to be on the 1st of May of every month. Or perhaps there is a particular incident that has led to the loss of life of a particular worker within Nigeria. That's when we see workers begin to speak up on their rights. Can we say also at this point that the government and other corporate organizations in Nigeria can be leveraging on the negligence of workers' inability to speak up about some of their rights that they are supposed to uphold? That's on the one hand. On the other hand, Nigerian workers, to a very large extent, don't do a very large study on what the terms and condition of their contracts, what it should be and what it should entail. And this has led to most of what you try to highlight at this point. And we can't blame completely the employers who try to provide jobs, services to all of those workers. But in all of this put together, can we say that the larger part of the negligence is from the Nigerian workers who has failed in a responsibility of doing due diligence in studies?
No, I disagree completely with you, my brother. That is not the right characterization of what the Nigerian workers have been doing. They have been involved in struggles. I mean, are you going to say that you don't know that ASU has been on strike for two years under, I mean, for several times under the immediate past administration of Muhammadu Buhari? Wait, let me learn now. Let me learn. You asked me a question. Do you remember that in 2020, ASU went on strike for 10 months to press on demands for the implementation of the 2009 federal government ASU agreement? Did you know that in 2022, just a year before Buhari exited, the ASU went back on strike for 8 months, and their salaries the salaries of ASU was withheld. Do you know that academic students, academic staff of university, academic staff union of Polytechnic ASU has also gone on strike several times? Do you know how many industrial actions have taken place at different levels apart from the NLC TUC? I think when you are making your statement, you are looking at the overall body, which is the NUC and TUC. But the affiliate bodies have always pressed on their demands. Even the NLC and TUC have had to picket a number of companies, a number of government agencies. There have been strikes across many states because of issues around workers' welfare. Did you remember, was it last year or 2 years ago, that Joe Ajaero, the NLC president, was beaten to a pulp in Owerri when he went to lead workers on protest against the inhuman policies allegedly being meted to workers by the Governor Hope Uzodinma administration? So what else do you want these workers to do? If you go against government, if you go on protest, and there have been several protests, even this year, there was a protest early in the year by NLC, and I recall that about 2 or 3 protests happened last year before we eventually had the national minimum wage in July last year. In one instance, they even shut down the national grid. That there was a nationwide blackout. There was no electricity anywhere in Nigeria for about 2 days, and then they shut the airport. There were no flights. They even shut the ports, and so what I'm saying is that it will be unfair of us to say the workers are sleeping on their rights. The courts are filled up with cases that have been filed by different affiliate unions of TUCs and LLC. There are even individuals who have pressed charges against their employers, either at National Industrial Court or at the regular court. So I think we will be blaming the victim if we say, oh, the workers are sleeping on their rights. I don't think so. I don't think so. With all that, all those examples I've given you, they have been doing their level best. And you know, for many of the workers, because when we say workers, we are not just looking at those in the organized private sector or those who are government employees, who are public or civil servants. Workers, even the road transport union, the artisans, they are all workers in their own right, and many of them have had to come out in protest against the very harsh policies of the government. So it's just that, you know, there is a limit to protest. If you go and protest on day 1, day 2, by day 3, you only see very significant number of people joining in such protests. That's why several times the unions will ask the civil society to join them so that they can sustain the tempo. And what do you do in a situation where the workers go on strike and then the federal government will go and obtain a court injunction, either asking them to go back to work immediately or that there will be no work, no pay. And that's what Buhari did against ASU, where he didn't pay them the 8-month salary that while they went on strike in 2022. I think it's Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu that now paid maybe 4 out of those 8 months on a compassionate ground. So with all of this, you will see that the Nigerian labor unions have been trying their best. Their affiliates have been doing what they need to do. But the environment, there is a shrinking civic space where even when you go on protest, particularly when you mobilize members to go on street protest, they slap the law at you. A judge is quick to issue an order that such protest should be discontinued and that issues should come to court for arbitration or for mediation. So these are the constraints that the workers have had, but I don't believe they have been sleeping on their rights.
All right. So Jude, let's look at this conversation around workers. You've said that they've been sleeping on their rights, which I tend to, at this point, not agree nor disagree with your submission because your opinions are totally yours. But then let's look at the whole incident of Nigerian workers from 1990. So let's pick from 1999 till date right now. If in your own assessment, what is your take on our workers right now? Are we better off as a people within the working space, or rather we become more impoverished in terms of our working strength? But let's get your assessment in a scale of 10 to 100. Where will you place the Nigerian workers as it stands right now?
So if I'm going to do that, I can't have a uniform matrix to say workers' life has been better or has been worse. It all depends on which sector of the economy you are trying to measure, because I know that in this country, even public servants are not paid by the same measure. You see some some ministries, departments, and agencies, particularly departments and agencies, that harm more than their counterparts in the ministry. Take for instance, the public television and radio workers. They are less paid. They are paid like civil servants. Meanwhile, the National Communication Commission gets good pay for their staff. So if you are doing a survey and you go and ask a staff of National Communication Commission, because they make money for government and they retain part of the money they make in issuing operating licenses to telecommunication companies, they also have annual renewal of license. So they are making money, and their staff are very small compared to those public media. You will find out that those who are working in NCC will say their lives are better. But if you go to NTA or you go to Radio Nigeria, they will tell you they are worse. The same thing with several other agencies, and so there is no uniform parameters for us to measure. If you go to organized private sector, there is no uniform matrix. Somebody in oil and gas will receive good pay with perks of office, even if you are a gardener in a Chevron, in Shell, in any of these multi-international oil companies. You are going to be earning than a general in Nigeria Army. A gardener, a messenger in an international oil conglomerate. But if you look at what our government-owned corporations pay, it's not comparable. And then you look at some of the organized private sector, like factories. I once had a friend who works in Lagos, and he works as a factory worker somewhere around Oshodi Solo. And you know the shift is 12 hourly. So if it goes, meanwhile, the International Labour Organization says a worker should work 8 hourly. And anything outside of 8 hours should be an overtime for which you are supposed to be paid. But some of these Indian, Korean, Lebanese companies and factories, there's a lot of abuse of our labor, of workers' rights. Some workers will even get injured while they are at work. There will be no compensation, no hospital or health benefits accruing to them because they are casual staff. So it all depends. Yeah, like I said, I will not be in a position to say, oh, 50%, 70%, because there is no uniformity in the payment structure. There is no uniformity in the emolument in terms of pension and gratuity. If you are lucky to work in a telecommunication company, for instance, you are likely going to be earning a lot more than your colleague who are working in that same sector.
But Jide, we want you at this point to at least give us something, looking at, regardless of the sector that people find themselves in. When you look at it critically and try to analyze and assess all of this, give us a figure around probably a scale between the scale from 10 to 100. Where will you place the Nigerian workers right now, Jide?
Again, we maintain that workers,
regardless of the sector that they found themselves right now, regardless of the sector, regardless of where we are right now, where will you place this?
Can you just allow me to answer your
please
question?
Go ahead.
Between 1990 and today, no worker is earning same old salary. If you look at the national minimum wage, that 1990 you are talking about, a minimum wage then was about 7,500. But today, the national minimum wage is 70,000. So if you look at in absolute terms, the salaries and wages of workers, they are better. And so I will score government, high. But when you now drill down, okay, somebody earning 7,500 minimum wage in 1990, but now earning 70,000 naira. You now ask yourself, what I can buy with 7,500 in 1990, can I buy with this 70,000? Because the naira has lost its value. Yes, you earn more, but you are purchasing less. You don't have the purchasing power of our currency. In fact, what I read is that our currency has been devalued by about 40%. So, in relative terms, workers' welfare is better. I will score them average 50. But in absolute terms, workers' life there have been higher cost of living rather than higher standard of living. Because even when you look at businesses like nano, small and medium enterprises, where people work, you find out that the cost of doing business is very exorbitant. You are working in a media organization. Perhaps what enables you to be able to see me is that you are powering your generator in your office. You are not on public electricity supply, because up to now electricity supply is still epileptic, even when higher tariffs have been imposed on consumer. So the ease of doing business is still a mirage. So you now have more rampantly than before situation where, whether you are working in organized private sector or you are working in government sector, workers are still being owed salaries. Those who are not being owed salaries are being owed benefits like leave bonus, like health and medical support. Many a time they are not paid. In fact, when they said that there would be contributory pension scheme, we all thought that workers' welfare has been put on a front burner. But the experience since 2004 that we have contributory pension scheme is that many organizations are now pushing to opt out of that contributory pension, because government will collect from the salaries of workers 7.5% of their monthly salary, but will fail to remit it to PENCOM. And what the contributory pension is talking about is that if your employee deduct 7.5% from your salary. Your employer will put additional 7.5, and a total of 15% will be saved for you with the National Pension Commission, depending on what do they call it? Depending on which it's not HMO, depending on which of
PFA? You mean PFA? PFA.
You said?
PFA?
The pension fund, okay, PFAs. So depending on the PFAs that you are using. But what we have seen, particularly in many states, is that they will deduct this 7.5% from workers' salary, but the state will not put its own contribution, which is supposed to be 7.5, and neither will they remit to the PFA. So workers are still worse off, and that is the irony of it. So it's a very sticky thing to say workers are better off now than before, because like I said, if you look at the purchasing power parity of your income, what you can buy with 10,000 naira 10 years ago, 20 years ago, is what you have to buy with about 100,000 today. And who is receiving 100,000 as minimum wage? It's still a mirage.
Well, Jide, at this point, it has been signaled that it is time to go. Quite a lot of conversation to have even around this area, because we're just scratching the surface. I wish we have more time to talk about some of these pressing issues across the country. But I want to say thank you so much for being a part of Big Talk this evening.
It's my pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Keep safe and stay blessed.
Well, viewers, this is how far we can go. Do remember you can join the conversation on our various social media handle now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. You can download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcasts. My name is Godwin Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your evening.